Ever feel like your spiritual life is, like, stuck on a hamster wheel? Always striving, always chasing that next level.
Yeah, always pushing, always reaching.
But what if I told you there's a different way? A more, effortless path to growth?
Effortless. Okay, I like the sound of that.
That's exactly what we're diving into today. This text we're looking at, it kind of throws out the old playbook and says, hey, surrender to this thing called divine action.
Divine action sounds a little heady.
I know, right? But stick with me. Think of it like this. Divine action is that unseen force that's always guiding us, whether we realize it or not.
Even if we don't buy into the whole divine thing.
Exactly. It's like, even if you don't believe in gravity, it's still holding you to the earth. This text is saying something similar is happening on a spiritual level.
Okay, I'm starting to see where you're going with this. And what's the source of this intriguing text?
Well, it comes from a tradition that's all about, using your brain, A&D, opening your heart. They don't shy away from tough questions. In fact, they start by calling out this problem of spiritual striving we were just talking about. The piling on practices and anxieties like it's some kind of cosmic competition.
Oh, I've been there. It's like the spiritual equivalent of an overstuffed suitcase. You just end up carrying way too much baggage.
Right. And this text is bold, saying this struggle, this constant feeling of not enough, comes from a misunderstanding of how this divine action really works.
It's like we're trying to force spiritual growth instead of letting it happen, right?
Exactly. So how do we get off this hamster wheel? How do we stop trying to make things happen and instead tap into this effortless flow?
The text argues that this divine action, this force leading us toward our best selves, is already at work. It's like a current gently pulling us toward our own unique version of perfection. Our job isn't to generate the current, but to just surrender to it.
Surrender. It's a loaded word, isn't it? Kind of makes you think of giving up or being passive.
Right. But it's not about being passive. It's more about letting go of control, trusting that there's something bigger at play.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we surrender to something we can't see or touch, especially in the middle of real-life chaos?
Imagine you're in a desert dying of thirst, desperately searching for drops of water. You're digging and straining, but you're exhausted, and all you find are a few measly drops. Now imagine instead of all that effort, you just step into an ocean.
Wow, okay, that's a powerful image.
That ocean, that's the ever-present power of divine action surrounding us, supporting us. It's not about adding more to your spiritual to-do list, but tapping into the wellspring that's already within you and all around you.
Okay, that makes sense, but how do we even find that ocean? How do we tune into it?
Well, the text points us to Jesus as our constant guide, right? It's like he's always speaking to our hearts, offering wisdom.
So we've all got our own personal Jesus hotline. I like it. But seriously, how often do we actually listen to that inner voice?
Right. We get so caught up in looking for answers outside ourselves, books, podcasts, gurus, that we forget to listen to the wisdom within.
It's like we trust everyone else's inner compass more than our own. So how do we start trusting that inner voice again?
This is where it gets really interesting. The text talks about embracing the supernatural in the everyday.
Wait, hold on. Supernatural? Like, are we talking ghosts and goblins here?
Not exactly. It's more about shifting our perspective, seeing everything, even the mundane, as touched by the divine. Like every moment holds the potential for something extraordinary.
So instead of just going through the motions, we start seeing our everyday lives as opportunities for growth and connection. Like even making my morning coffee could be a spiritual practice.
Exactly. It's about cultivating an attitude of openness, of receptivity, trusting that guidance and grace can flow through even the most ordinary things.
I like that. So it's not about adding more rituals or routines, but changing our entire orientation to life.
Exactly, and it goes even deeper than that. The text takes this idea of surrendering to divine will and says it's not just about specific actions, but about finding joy and fulfillment in the very essence of that will, that energy that permeates everything.
Okay, so not just, did I do the right thing, but finding this deeper alignment in each moment.
Yes, and when we tap into that, we access a state of grace that goes way beyond checking off boxes on our spiritual to-do list. It transcends trying to achieve some picture-perfect version of spirituality.
It's about embracing our own messy, imperfect journey. I like it. But this all sounds great in theory, but what about when things get tough? What about the challenges, the setbacks, the moments when we feel anything but connected to something bigger?
Well, the text actually addresses this head on. It doesn't shy away from the tough stuff. In fact, it says that those difficult experiences, those are often the biggest opportunities for growth.
Okay, but how? When I'm struggling, the last thing I feel connected to is some divine plan.
It's easy to feel that way. But the text encourages us to look for the hidden treasure in every encounter, even the messy ones.
Hidden treasure in heartbreak, in failure. I don't know about that.
Think about it this way. When do we learn the most? When do we grow the most resilient? It's often when we're pushed outside our comfort zones, right?
True, but that doesn't make it FUN.
No, it definitely doesn't. But what if those tough experiences are actually, I don't know, like a cosmic gym membership?
A cosmic gym membership. Okay, now you've lost me.
I'm just trying to keep things lively. But think about it. We go to the gym to build strength, to push our limits. What if those difficult moments in life are doing the same thing for our spirits?
Okay, so we're being divinely sculpted.
Exactly. The text even uses this financial metaphor, talking about divine action as a vast fortune or a certain income.
So we're already rich, we just don't know it.
Precisely. It's saying we already possess this unlimited source of support, this infinite wellspring of grace. Our job is to just, recognize it and you see it.
Easier said than done, right? So how do we actually access this divine ATM?
One practical way, according to the text, is to view every experience, with the obvious exception of sin, of course, as a potential vehicle for growth.
Okay, so not just the good stuff, but even the stuff that makes us want to crawl under the covers and hide.
Especially that stuff, because often those are the experiences that hold the most potential for transformation. Think about it. When we're going through something really tough, we're forced to dig deep to find new resources within ourselves that we never even knew we had.
Okay, I'm starting to see it.
Yeah.
But it's still hard, right? To find that silver lining when you're in the thick of it.
Absolutely. But the text reminds us that even when we can't see it, that divine hand is still guiding us. It's like, even in those moments when we feel most alone, we're never truly alone.
That's reassuring. But this divine action thing, it's not just about those big dramatic moments, is it? It sounds like even our everyday thoughts and feelings and, sensations can be part of it too.
You're exactly right. The text takes it even further, saying that every aspect of our being, even down to our very cells, is infused with divinity.
So like we're all walking around with tiny little pieces of the divine inside us. That's kind of a mind-blowing thought.
It is mind-blowing and incredibly liberating too when you really think about it, because it means that we're not defined by our perceived successes or failures, but by this constant, unwavering current of grace that's always supporting us. It's like we're all part of one giant interconnected ecosystem, and everything we do, think, and feel has ripple effects.
I like that, the ecosystem analogy. So it's not about achieving some kind of, Instagram-worthy spiritual highlight reel.
Not at all. It's about showing up authentically in each moment, trusting that there is a larger intelligence at work, even, and maybe especially, in the messiness.
That's a relief to hear because, let's be honest, most of our lives are pretty messy.
Exactly. And the text seems to be saying, that's okay. It's all part of the journey. Just like in nature, there's room for imperfection, for things to unfold in their own time. We don't have to have it all figured out. We just need to show up with open hearts and a willingness to learn and grow.
That feels really grounding. But I think a lot of us, myself included, we get caught in that trap of comparison. We look at other people and think, oh, they've got it all figured out, or I could never be that spiritual.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. We've all been there. But the text actually challenges us to rethink those comparisons altogether. It says those comparisons, they're not only unhelpful, they're actually missing the point entirely.
Okay, so what's the point then? If we're not supposed to be comparing ourselves to these spiritual giants, what are we supposed to be doing?
The text suggests that each of us, we have our own, unique spiritual fingerprint, our own path to walk.
So instead of trying to squeeze ourselves into some predetermined mold, we need to embrace our own, our own weirdness, our own unique expression of the divine.
Exactly. It's like we each have our own, custom designed spiritual playlist. We can appreciate the music other people are listening to, but we don't need to try to steal their headphones,
Love that analogy. No more comparing our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all dancing to our own rhythm, but guided by the same, universal beat.
That's a great way to put it. And this is what makes spiritual growth a journey, not a destination, right? It's about constantly evolving, expanding, discovering new facets of ourselves.
And new facets of, whatever we call that divine force.
Exactly. It's not about reaching some finish line, some spiritual graduation ceremony. It's about surrendering to the flow, trusting that even when we stumble, and we will stumble, we're still being guided. We're still being supported.
Okay, I'm feeling that. It's like permission to relax a little.
Yeah.
and not take it all so seriously.
Yes. It's about embracing the journey with all its messy imperfections.
This whole conversation makes me think of that Thomas Merton quote. He said, "For me to be a saint means to be myself, but I have to be myself as God intends me to be."
Oh, I love that quote.
It's like this text we've been talking about. It's giving us permission to stop striving for some external ideal of perfection and to just embrace the messy, beautiful unfolding of our lives.
And to trust that we're already exactly where we need to be.
And that we already have everything we need to really blossom, to really step into our full potential.
Yes, we just need to learn how to tap into it, to tap into that infinite wellspring that's always available.
This has been such a rich conversation. I feel like we could go on for hours.
Me too. There's so much more to explore in this text.
I know. But for now, if you had to leave our listeners with just one thing, one key takeaway from this whole idea of effortless perfection, what would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. But if I had to choose, I'd say this. Pay attention to the ordinary moments.
The ordinary moments. Okay, go on.
Look for evidence of that divine action, that guiding force in the everyday stuff. The sunrise, the laughter of a child, the feeling of gratitude that washes over you out of nowhere. That's the divine whispering to you, guiding you, supporting you. We just need to cultivate the habit of listening.
That's beautifully said. So, to our listeners, as you move through your day today and every day, remember this. You are surrounded by an ocean of grace. You are guided and supported by a love that knows no bounds.
A love that's always there, whether you feel it or not.
And the most amazing part, you don't have to do anything to earn it. You don't have to prove yourself worthy. Just open your heart.
And let it in.
Beautifully said. And on that note, until next time, may you find moments of effortless perfection in the most unexpected places.